Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, Amsterdam. Thank you for inviting me to speak, especially after such crypto pioneers as the Winklevoss twins. And what a pleasure to conclude this first day of great discussions. I just come from Brussels, where I met my fellow finance ministers from the euro area and the European Union. We were discussing ways to make Europe more competitive in a challenging international environment. I believe that crypto, and in particular Bitcoin, are part of the solution. Make no mistake, even among political leaders in Europe, more and more study Bitcoin. As US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent recently noted, 17 years after the white paper, the Bitcoin network is still operational and more resilient than ever. Bitcoin never shuts down. I realize that I was invited here because Luxembourg's Intergenerational Sovereign Wealth Fund was the first in Europe to invest in Bitcoin. And thank you. And actually, among the very first in the world to officially disclose it. In Luxembourg, we do things sometimes differently from most other countries. We do not just promise, but we deliver. Our sovereign wealth fund, investing 1% of its assets in Bitcoin, is not an announcement to seek attention. It's already done. And while the fund's investment policy allows for an allocation in any crypto asset, it has chosen to invest only in Bitcoin. Thank you. Because, as Michael Saylor once said, there is no second best. And we're in it for the long haul. And let me be clear, Luxembourg HODLs. We are still early. I'm sure that others will soon follow our lead. As Minister of Finance, I meet with companies and financial institutions from all over the world. Digital assets are a topic that is high on everyone's agenda. Also, to set the context, I wouldn't like to tell you a little bit about Luxembourg. Not to give you a sales pitch, but to give you the facts. To explain why my country cares so much about the future of global finance. We are the world's leading cross-border investment hub with assets over 7.6 trillion euros. A third of this now in alternative funds. This makes us the US and the EU's largest alternative funds hub. We distribute these funds to over 80 countries worldwide, from Europe to Latin America to Asia. We have over 115 banks from more than 20 countries. From Luxembourg, they serve global high net worth individuals, families, and also corporates. We are also the EU's leading cross-border life insurance hub. In recent years, a whole range of cross-border fintech companies have set up in Luxembourg. They serve as payment gateways, tokenization platforms, and regulatory platforms for clients across the globe. And this quick glimpse helps you to understand why we care so much ensuring global finance flourishes, and why we think so much about the disruptions to the traditional models that you guys are working on. Over the past decade, we have built a trusted home for Bitcoin and digital assets in the heart of Europe. Our journey, embracing crypto, started with providing clarity. We moved early with national authorizations for crypto firms. In fact, we regulated the very first European crypto exchange, Bitstamp, nearly a decade ago. Back then, Bitcoin was priced less than 1,000 euros. Today, Bitcoin is close to 100,000 euros. Luxembourg is now home to a large ecosystem of crypto exchanges, custodians, service providers, advisors, and the very first digital asset control agents. With MiCA in force, we are now also fast becoming the EU home for serious crypto asset service providers or CASPs. This was underlined this summer when Coinbase chose to establish its EU crypto hub in Luxembourg. Luxembourg provides supervisory excellence with openness to innovation. And don't be fooled by those who claim that central supervision is the magic bullet to boost EU competitiveness. On the contrary, it will merely add layers and bureaucracy and cost and make Europe's nascent crypto industry less competitive. Luxembourg supports your industry in your efforts to make crypto a trusted asset class. We are convinced that the future of finance is digital. Bitcoin will be a mainstream asset class like gold. It actually is digital gold. Tokenization will be a game changer. To succeed, we need regulatory clarity and forward-looking legislation. In Luxembourg, we have modernized our securities and collateral law since 2019 in close dialogue with the sector. DLT issuance, settlement, and collateral are recognized and of equal footing to traditional securities. We have made central accounting and account keeping fit for blockchain-based markets. This was never about hype. It was about a bridge between code and capital. We did this within the European frameworks to enable institutional actors to safely manage their crypto exposure. While a European DLT pilot regime was an important step to test innovation, Luxembourg left the sandbox. We concluded that a security is a security, regardless of the rails. Pilots can never provide durable legal certainty. That's where Luxembourg has come in. With clarity in place, scale follows. Luxembourg is a scaling machine for cross-border finance. Our toolbox that powers our fund industry and capital markets now also supports institutional Bitcoin strategies. New and established players have chosen Luxembourg to serve this industry and offer crypto custody and alternative fund management services. Add institutional administration, audit and services, and you have a compliant route from idea to investor that can scale all over. Europe's first digital bonds have been issued under Luxembourg law. Luxembourg is home to tokenized money market funds and tokenized real-world assets. We became a home for some of the first alternative investment fund managers in the crypto space, the first European crypto funds, which of course are all heavily invested in BTC. Yes, institutions have entered the Bitcoin space, and many have done so through Luxembourg. And yes, in the process, Bitcoin has become an established asset class even for traditional bankers. So, when we speak about European Savings and Investment Union, we should also speak about Bitcoin. Like I mentioned earlier, I meet with European finance ministers very regularly, and we all agree Europe faces structural changes. We are not competitive enough in the global economy. Europe does not lack ideas. We do not lack funds, and we do not lack talents. The people here in this very room attest to that. What we lack is scale and simplicity. First, scale. The lack of scale is largely due to fragmentation of capital. This makes it hard to mobilize the necessary financing to large-scale projects. To put it simply, Europe is a continent of savers, not of investors. Over 11.5 trillion euros is held in cash or deposits. We struggle to challenge these savings into high-growth sectors, cross-border ventures, or infrastructure at scale. This is where Bitcoin, digital assets, and also tokenization can help. Bitcoin and digital assets are natively cross-border and auditable. Second, simplicity. European rules have become too complex, regulation too burdensome. What we need is more simplicity. If Europe combines simpler rules and more predictable supervision with cross-border payment and investments, we can finance, attract, and mobilize more investments and make Europe competitive again on a global scale. But don't get me wrong. Europe is a market of 450 million consumers. There are plenty of good reasons to invest here already. And here is Luxembourg what offers to investors, founders, funds, and institutions, and basically to all of you in this room. First, a regulated home for your business with a supervisor that is respected and trusted by institutions and clients alike. Second, institutional-grade infrastructure, the largest density of Tier 4 data centers and HPC computing power. Third, cross-border distribution at scale. Trade once and serve the whole of Europe using the passporting playbook that built our International Fund Center. Fourth, tokenization with legal certainty. From issuance to collateral to settlement, DLT is embedded into securities, law, so tokenized instruments plug into real balance sheets. And fifth, stability and an attractive legal framework that offers clarity and also predictability. Plus, AAA-rated public finances with low debt, attractive taxation, and tax incentives that encourage innovation and also talent attraction. And finally, an open dialogue. As Finance Minister, I encourage this. Our regulator, the CSSF, applies this on a daily basis. Ladies and gentlemen, by now you have understood that I have tasted the orange pill, but I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. In my mind, our economies will not switch to the Bitcoin standard, but at the same time, Bitcoin will, without any doubt, be part of the future of finance. I see TradFi and crypto complement each other. We will see a hybrid world where CBDCs, stablecoins, tokenized bank deposits, and crypto will coexist. As they integrate further, risk becomes manageable, exposure becomes normal, and adoption becomes not only responsible, but an obvious choice. In Luxembourg, we embrace Bitcoin and digital assets, and we invite others to follow that path. So Bitcoin can help shape the future of finance in a way that is safe, open, and good for the European and the global economy. If we succeed in building a continent that operates at scale, then we restore not only our competitiveness, but our ability to lead. And right now, Europe's leadership and shared values appear more important than ever. Thank you for your attention.